everybody, welcome back to SiNaCa Studios School of Glass. We have another awesome item for you guys to try at home. This is the nightlight kit. It's a very fun piece of glass, especially for the kids. Basically, when you get your kit, you'll open your box. On the top, you'll have a bunch of different pieces of paper. One is your project and your name, which we would like you to fill out front and back. That way, when we fire the glass, we can make sure that we get everything back to the right person. We're going to set that aside. The next thing on top of your kit are some example images of potential inspiration. Now, we've put these in each kit. They are literally just for you to look at, to give you some ideas of how to go about designing your nightlight. Again, these are not meant to be what you use, but they are added inspiration if you need it. We're going to choose the flower today for our demonstration. Put the other ones aside. The night lights are 3 inches by 3 inches, and so parents, if you want to print out a different image for your kids to do, that's also an option. I'm going to stick that to the side. Next, we're going to grab our blue tabs and we're going to lift the styrofoam up out of the box, set it down next to it. You have two different night lights in here, pieces of glass, clear glass. We're going to take those out. We're going to take the styrofoam, set it to the side. Do remember that each piece of glass has been cut and has not been polished, and so the edge is potentially very sharp. Be mindful when you work with the glass to grab it from the inside. Never run your finger along the outside. Set that down. Inside your kit, we're going to have a bunch of different bags. We're going to pull each one out. You've got your pebbles, mixed pieces, Frit, stringers, and your glue. Take your kit, take your foam, put it back in, take your lid and the other pieces of paper, close, and we can come back to that later. So sometimes you need some added tools. One of those tools can be a skewer or a toothpick, help you push glass around. A pair of tweezers for some of the smaller pieces of glass if you need to pick one up. And then also some small cups. Now I'm going to show you why these small cups are kind of helpful. For example, the bag that's labeled Pebbles is a bunch of round pieces of glass. If you open this bag and you pour them out onto the table, they're going to go everywhere. So these tiny little cups can be very helpful because it'll allow you to pour your glass into a very controlled space, and then you can pick through what you like and not have anything end up on the floor where it can get into the carpet or get near any other animals. So I'm just going to scoop these up real fast and put them into our little tiny little jars. So one thing that I like to do is I like to put all my materials out so that I can see exactly what I have. So I'm going to open the Frit bag. You want to take some time right now. We're going to pause the video. You can get some jars and put all of your material into the jars. Now that we have everything in its individual jars, you can see here's my Frit, here are my pebbles, my little mixed bunch, and my stringers. We're going to talk you through each one of these materials to give you an idea of what they're going to do once they're fired. But before we get started with that, let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to attach our image to the back of our glass. And so what you'll need is just some basic tape. Take a little bit of tape, loop it around, stick it to your glass, take your image, set it down, take your glass, flip it upside down, and then do your best to try to center it so that the image takes up the entire space. Now, this is a temporary attachment. Remember, these are just guidelines. And again, you can use whatever you want. We want you guys to be creative with this, so you don't have to have guideline or essentially an outline. But basically, if you want one, that's how you can attach it. So once it's attached to the plane, now you can start to decorate. So first I want to talk to you about is the Frit. So the Frit is really great. It's tiny, small, irregular pieces of glass that you can use, take my tweezers, to kind of fill in an area. Now, the Frit comes in all different sizes and all different colors in this mixed bunch. So feel free to very carefully, if you need to, take a little bit, put it out on the table very gently, and then you can kind of start to separate it and see what you have, okay? So, before I do anything, I'm gonna look at all my materials and figure out which ones I feel are gonna be the best. So, what I see is I have a flower, and I think I wanna decorate each petal, and then I want the stem to be a color, and then I potentially wanna fill in the background. The stems appear to be kind of straight, so what I'm gonna do is look around and say, oh look, I have straight pieces of glass. I'm gonna very carefully look through here, dump a few out. These are called stringers. They're gonna give you straight lines of color. I'm gonna look through here and I say, oh look, I have some green. I think I want my stem to be green. I'm gonna use my tweezers. I can grab a little bit of green, and then I can come and place it in the stem. A little bit more. So that, I think that's the route I wanna go with the stem. So now that I have my stem figured out, I'm gonna go over to my pebbles. And I'm gonna look and I'm gonna say, I think I might want to put a solid round dot of color eventually on the inside of my flowers. I think it wants to be yellow, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull out all the yellow pebbles. And what I'm noticing about these pebbles is that one side is flat and the other side is domed, is round. And a good way to test this is if you set it down onto the table, it doesn't wobble. If you set it down onto the piece of glass, it doesn't wobble. If you flip that upside down, you notice how that pebble wobbles. That's not the best way to utilize that technique. So you want to make sure that when you use the pebble, you flip it upside down, make sure it's flat, and then you can slide it into place. I think I'm going to use the yellow ones eventually to place on the center of my flowers. Now that I have my pebbles chosen, set that to the side. I'm gonna look through my mixed batch. I'm gonna use the back end of my tweezers, not my finger, just in case it's sharp, to kind of pull things around to see, okay, I have a bunch of different things in here. Let's see what I got. This is a very pretty, it's like a very pretty amber color. There's a little pink pebble, I'm gonna grab it. So basically the mixed batch is for you to kind of see if there are any other colors that are not in your Frit or in your stringers that you might want to use. And just remember that the glass can be sharp, so use your tweezers or your hands, but you got to be very careful when you grab it with your hands. And so I'm just kind of picking through and looking. Hi everybody, welcome back. I hope you had fun placing your Frit all over your nightlight. As you can see, I have a blue flower, a pink flower, and a purple flower, just to let you know that this white background is just the paper, and that actually will not be white unless you intentionally make it a color. What we're going to do is talk now about the stringers. As you see, I don't have any green on my nightlight, and so what I want to do is show you how to put the stringers to kind of make straight green lines. In your stringers bag, after you've poured it out, you'll notice that some stringers are small and some stringers are long. And so if you happen to get a long stringer and you want to use it, but it's too long to fit into the frame, there is a way that you can make it smaller. What I do want to tell you is that you have to be kind of careful with this process. These stringers can be sharp and they will poke you into your skin, but basically if you take one of the stringers, you put it in between your two fingers, and then you just bring your wrists together almost like you're snapping a twig, you will be able to break the stringer into two pieces. This will allow you to be able to use it, use my tweezers, and to place it where it needs to be placed. I'm gonna actually bring it over and put it here. In my bucket, I did have some smaller ones, so I'm gonna use those also. They're different colors. Sometimes the smaller that the piece gets, the harder it is to break. So you just, again, wanna be very careful when you break the stringers so that you don't hurt yourself. If you need help with this, ask a parent or an older sibling, kind of explain to them how they can break it for you. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my piece of paper as a guide to know where to put my lines for my stems for my flowers. Another thing that I can do is think about how I want this to actually look. Do I want the stem to be a solid green? Do I want it to just have a line drawing of green? It's really up to you. There's no right or wrong answer in this process. You can do what you like. I'm going to do both on this one. I'm going to fill in, I'm going to use the stringer inside here. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? Actually, I've changed my mind. I'm going to go back to the same color stringer. I'm actually going to break that down into smaller pieces. Be very careful. I'm not going to squeeze the glass too hard. Get my little pieces here. I'm going to stick them inside and get them to fit the best I can. Let's see, that one looks to be a little bit long, but let's see if we can make it work. Yep, we were able to make it work. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of green glass that I got out of my Frit mix. And I'm actually going to stick it inside to kind of color that stem. I've chosen to do the stem in the background. I'm just going to place and move. Get another one. Too big. Drop it in. Perfect. The rest I'm going to just use the lines. Now, you notice I haven't really put anything else into the background, and that's okay. I think what I want is the flowers to be the focal point. That way when the light shines through my nightlight, all these pretty petals are gonna light up. And there's two different types of glass that you see on this nightlight. There's glass that's called transparent, and there's glass that's called opaque glass. Transparent glass allows light to transmit through it, so essentially you can see through the blue, the pink, and the purple in the green stems. The yellow, however, is opaque glass. Opaque glass does not allow light to transmit through it. So when your nightlight lights up, hopefully on this nightlight, the petals will glow, and then you'll have just a solid shadow of a dot on the center where the pollen lives on your flower. So the next step, once you've got all of your glass on your nightlight, is to grab the glue bottle. Now, this glue bottle has a very tricky lid. You can't just unscrew it. It has a child safety feature, so you have to push the lid in and then unscrew. Once you unscrew the lid, you'll notice that there's a long piece of metal sticking out on the tip. Now, we don't want to use a ton of glue. We don't want the glass to move and be swimming in the glue. So what I'm going to do is use my finger to show you how much glue you actually want. So when I squeeze the bottle, I can notice a little droplet appears on the tip. That is all the glue you want to use, right? In between a piece of Frit. So watch this. I'm going to drop a little bit of glue in between the Frit. It's going to sink down underneath 3 different pieces of Frit. Then I want to move, drop another one, move again, drop another one. And basically the idea, guys, with the glue is we just want to make sure that the glass does not move during its transportation from your home to our studio. That way everything is exactly where you put it. So one thing with the stringers that I will add is that when you glue the stringers, sometimes they'll move. You have a good 15-20 minute window to be able to use your fingers, your tweezers, or your toothpick and move the stringers back to where you want them to be. Okay? So go ahead and drop little droplets of glue in between all of your Frit, especially on the edge. Make sure nothing moves. When it comes to the pebbles, you want to drop it to the side of the pebble and it will drip down the rounded portion and touch underneath. Okay? Once you've done that, put your lid back on your glue and set it aside. Now, the glue I just glued, things might still be a little loose, but because I have it on there, I should be able to pull the piece of paper out from underneath. You notice here when I start to pull, I can see that the blue pieces of Frit are moving, which is not good. So I put it back down, get my glue back out, drop another little bit of glue. I missed that spot. Use my tweezers, get everything back to where I want it to be. Now that it has glue on it. Good. Now I pick it up. Now you guys at home, leave your paper attached. We will take it off for you. I'm going to say that again. At home, leave your paper attached. we will take it off for you. I'm removing the paper to show you, to give you an idea of kind of the outline that I've made. Now, if I want to, I can go back, now that I see where my lines are, and I can move my frit around, maybe separate my petals a little bit more. And there you have it. Now, this is one approach. Another approach is to kind of take the material and just use it in the most creative way possible, okay? And so what I've done, I took a handful of the frit and I sprinkled it out in the center of the nightlight. And then I took my pebbles and I took all the orange pebbles and I decided to place them down, move them around, and then I found my stringers and I said, oh, I love all these colors. I'm gonna take all my random colors and then I'm just gonna lay them down all over the face of my nightlight. Kind of create this really abstract looking piece of art, okay? Both ways are very creative and both ways are very beautiful. And so one of the fun things about this project is it's totally up to you. You can do whatever you want, right? And you have two. So if you wanted to, you could make one way and one the other way, and then just see which one you like better. At this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put everything back into our bags. Everything is glued down and we're just letting it sit for a while. We're gonna clean up. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and stick the flowers back under so that it looks exactly how we want you guys to send it back to us. Okay, now once everything is back in its bags, okay, we're gonna do is grab our box again, make sure our glue lid is on nice and tight, open our lid to our box. You can take the paper out, take the foam out, put the frit and the material back in, should lay nice into the bottom, the glue, everything into the back, or into the bottom, push down, then take your foam. You can do this two ways. You can leave your foam out and then pick up your glass. Remember to give the glue some time to dry so that nothing moves, and you can set it down. Now what I want to show you is this. This specific kit is made to where the glass will hang off. So if you take it, you can should be able to slide it in, and just take your time sliding it in and let the edges hang off, okay? Take the paper and the sheet, stick it in, take the glass, lift it up with the blue tabs, and carefully set it down into the bin. Take your lid, put it on, and bring it back. Now, I want to show you, this is an example of one that's fired, and what we'll do is once it's back to the studio, and then what I'm going to do is go ahead and solidify all the pieces, and then we'll put this little added bit on the back end, and that is exactly where the nightlight will go. And in this kit, you get to make the glass, and then we take care of mounting the bracket for you, and then we also give you the light that goes with this. Thank you guys so much for playing. I hope you have fun. If you have any questions, please reach out on our social media accounts, where we will get back to you as soon as we can. And then in a couple days, you can come back and pick up your final projects. Thank you so much for playing. Everybody stay safe, practice good social distancing, and we'll see you soon.